going to start out with why I started my online presence in the first place, which is, what does it mean to be a musician and an artist and creative? When I was in college, before I went to college, I thought I was going to be an international businessman. And I don't know, I didn't know exactly what that meant. All I saw myself doing was, I actually saw myself wearing a suit and tie. And I saw myself on planes, traveling to exotic places, and buying and selling things for a profit. I guess I just didn't know anything else beyond that. I just knew that I wanted to do it internationally. I was interested in foreign culture. And I thought that would be an exciting life. And I think it would have been, and I think I would have been good at it. And it's just a timeline that just didn't manifest for me. I also could have taken over my dad's rock crushing business. He asked me to take it over or just to start being involved in it. And I just knew that wasn't for me. I think it was because I was intimidated by 50-year-old grimy bearded dudes that were rough and tough and greasy and dirty and redneck, and I didn't, it's not that I didn't know how to relate to them, it was just that I didn't think I could handle it, honestly, and I probably couldn't back then. I was soft. I'm not saying I'm hard now, I'm not saying I'm tough or anything like that, but I have learned some things along the way that I wouldn't be intimidated by something like that anymore. But didn't do that. I probably financially would have been a lot better off than I am now if I would have done that. But I would have spent my days and hours and lifetime, I would have been in management. I wouldn't have been wrenching on machines probably very much. But it would have been just a more, I guess, mundane kind of life. And when I went to college, I didn't know what I wanted to major in, and so I took an anthropology class from this professor. His name was Skip Messenger, and he was just, the classic pipe-smoking, bearded, chill professor that, we all think about. And I just enjoyed his classes. I enjoyed being around him. So I just said, I'll just major in anthropology, because whatever. So I took a handful of his classes. At some point, I went in probably my end of my sophomore year, and I said, well, how many more classes do I need to major? And he kind of looked at all my classes, and he said, you could major in anthropology, but you probably have an easier time majoring in Russian area studies. And I didn't even know that was a major. He said, go talk to Nick Hayes. He was the Russian area studies counselor, and see if you can add a few more credits and major in that, because I had been taking Russian language every semester, so I at least had 1 credit per semester for that, and I had taken a couple Russian lit and Russian history. And so I went to him and I said, hey, what would it take for me to major in this? And he said, well, even if you took all of my classes for the next 2 years, you'd still be 2 credits short. And only way you could make it up is if you went to Russia for a semester. And you did a journal essay thing at the end and turned it in, and I could give you 2 credits for that or whatever it was. So that's what I did. My junior year, I went to Russia. I stayed in St. Petersburg. I studied mostly language there. I stayed with the host family, and I wrote a journal entry every day for the whole time I was there, and I turned it in, and that's what my major was. But that's all to say that after I got back from Russia, I pretty much knew that I had my major locked down. I was going to graduate with a major in Russian area studies and a minor in anthropology. I was taking my last set of classes. I was pretty much, I had finals left, but, I was golden, like I was going to graduate. I was going to get my certificate, and I was almost done. And in that semester, I was taking a painting class I guess it was advanced painting. I think I had taken either 2 or 3. It was like beginners and advanced, or beginners and intermediate and advanced. I was in the top advanced class, whatever that was, with this particular professor, painting professor, that she and I became friendly. I'd go over to her house and we'd hang out with a couple other friends, and we just liked each other. I wasn't good at painting by any means, but I liked to do it, and I liked art, and I just liked talking about art with this particular professor. So I was in this class, and I was walking across campus afterwards, and I was going to go to my little apartment, and I was going to get on my bike or car. I think I might have had a car then. And I was going to drive to band practice. And I realized at that moment that I was an artist. I realized that I had to be an artist in order to try to fulfill whatever gift God had given me. Whatever was inside of me that was mine to give to the world was through the lens of an artist, a creative person. And I still talk about that moment to my friends and people that know me, because it shapes who I am. Now, I don't necessarily think that being an artist means that you paint, or you're a musician, or you do visual or sculpture, anything like that. Being an artist can mean someone who is on the path of exploration, of listening to something bigger, divine, passing it through your physical body, whether it's through your hands, your mouth, whatever it is, and manifesting it into reality. Martial artist is an artist in a different way. I think archery is also an art. I think business is an art. Everything can be an art. Engineering can be an art. I mean, look at Frank Lloyd Wright. Obviously, he was an artist, a supreme, masterful artist, but he was also an engineer. He was also technical. A lot of people, I mean, Elon Musk could be seen as an artist. I mean, Tesla, I don't particularly like the way they look, but there's an artistry to it. With the engineering, the design, that's artistry. That's paying attention to detail. Steve Jobs is an artist. He's an artist of simplicity, but he's also an artist of business. He understood that what you see on the outside of an iPhone should be simply nothing but a screen, basically. And inside that screen is everything that a person needs. and to make it as simple as possible to access through that screen all of the things that a person needs, person wants. And he was a masterful artist of simplicity. And at that time, when I was walking across campus, I wanted to be a musician because I had gotten so much pleasure, satisfaction, yes, a certain amount of adulation from other people. People did tell me that, I was a good singer. I should pursue this. I had friends. A lot of times friends will tell you, you should hang it up, bro. Like, you need a day job. But a lot of my friends said, no, you actually could sing for a band, and you're a good front person, and you have chemistry and charisma, and you might want to try it. So I got encouragement where a lot of people got discouragement. And so I had a musical partner. I actually still have this musical partner 40 years later, which is crazy. Almost 40 years later. He and I consider ourselves best friends, musical compadres, spiritual brothers, and that relationship is seminal, again, to my life, to my loyalty, to my commitment, to my art, and to people. So I graduated in college when I was 21, and I spent 6 years pursuing being in a band. Actually, that's not true. I spent 8 years until I was about 29 singing and creating music, and being in a band was my focal point of my life. That was the central piece of my life. Everything revolved around that. I was in a couple bands. I started playing drums a lot more, played drums in a band, sang in a band, had a couple other different projects. But I wanted to be a full-time musician. That was my focus. When I was 28, sort of in between there and about 28, 29, I started recording other bands, and I started making part of my living doing that. Then I got into the rehearsal space business, and that became all my living. I was able to turn that into a living, and then a good living. And I had some problems, which I will talk about eventually. Went into survival mode for a couple years, and then now make a good living in that business again. All the while being an artist, being a musician, producing other artists. Most of all, being an artist of my life. And that's what this channel is going to be about. How do you become an artist in your life, no matter what you do? Work at a gas station, or you're a manager, or you're a account executive, whatever it is that you do. How do you bring artistry and creativity into that being? Very encouraging of people that want to be entrepreneurs. I think it's no matter if you want to be an artist or you want to just do some sort of business, which would be selling something to someone else for a profit, whether it's a service or a gadget or a thing or time. How do you bring artistry into that? How do you bring mastery into that? And I think for me, everything that I do, I have to do. I don't know. I understand a lot of people weren't given the same opportunities that I have had. I was brought up in upper middle class went to private schools. I got a great education. I was on the shoulders of people that were successful. I was taught by people that were successful. I learned through that lens. A lot of people don't have that lens. Maybe I can be that lens for you. And, there's a whole silver spoon thing that I don't believe that I was handed a silver spoon. It was not like I was born a prince. I wasn't born uber wealthy. I just had people, my mom and my dad and even my grandparents on both sides, they were just better than average with money. They knew how to bring it in, keep it, buy the things that they needed, and never really, get into trouble financially. They just were good with money. And I learned that. I learned how to be good with money, and I learned how to save. I learned how to not spend too much and not get into debt. And that has served me well. That's some other things that I can help you with just through this channel. I'm shifting away from just focusing on musicianship. The reason why is, even though it's been my seminal piece in my career, being around musicians, helping musicians, in the past 10, 15 years, I've added some things to my life that are as important to me as music is. One being martial arts, two being bow hunting, and I'm a spiritual person. I have some practices, I have some philosophies, and I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm also fairly well versed in diet and exercise, although I'm not perfect, but I'm in good shape. I eat pretty well. And also, lastly, I'll just say that this is going to be my first video. Sorry, it's shaky and probably, I don't know, the audio is probably not great. I'm going to get into some more heavy-duty production, but you got to start somewhere, and it's better to start than to delay. So this is me entering a new era of me online. I was just going to say that I'm also sober. I'm also divorced, single dad. So these are some of the other things that I'm going to bring to this table, to this online table. And let me just say that being an online person, bringing my inner workings to a platform like YouTube comes with a lot of, I'm willing to open up now. Maybe it's my age, maybe it's just some of the experiences that I've gone through, maybe it's some of the successes that I've had, but the word is trepidation. That's the word I was looking for. It comes with a lot of trepidation. And just know that me coming out like this, I'm not hesitant, I'm not concerned at this point, but it's taken a lot of thought and a lot of, how do I want to come into this online world? Especially because I'm an outdoors person. I would rather have you sitting in a tree stand hunting a deer, or walking in the woods, or swimming in a river than listening to me, to be honest. But let's face it, we have a lot of time to take in some of this messaging. So maybe it's something you put on when you're in the car, or you're on your, you're listening on your headphones. Just listen to me talk and listen to my philosophy. Maybe it'll help you. Maybe it'll calm you. Maybe it'll soothe you. And I know I have a lot of people that I listen to on YouTube that I just put on. I just listen because I like these people. I don't always agree with what they say, but I resonate with certain people and I like to hear them talk. Maybe you'll like to hear me talk. And if you don't, that's fine, obviously. Just turn me off. Just keep scrolling. If you like me, hear me talk, and you like some of the messages, just put it on sometimes. Maybe it's when you go to bed. And I promise I'm not going to feed you with poison. I'm not going to feed your mind with toxins. I'm going to feed your mind with solutions, creativity, stories from my experience, and hopefully, if nothing else, I'm just a calming presence for you. Something that comes up in your feed that you go, yeah, I want to listen. I want to listen to this guy talk. There'll be different sorts of production values, but probably a lot of it's going to be like this. Because I really do think that I have a lot to offer. And I don't want that to sound egotistical. I just want you to know that it's something that's inside of me that's telling me to talk to you, to talk to the world about my philosophy of life. Am I happy most of the time? Not happy isn't the word. Am I content? Yeah, I am. And that's after a 3 to 4 year long, I hate to use the word brutal, but on my heart, it was brutal. It was the most painful, emotional thing that I've ever been through. But it forged something in me that gives me confidence to speak. Because some people have really successful businesses. Some people have really successful careers as an artist. Some people are really good self-defense martial artists. Some people are really good bow hunters. I'm mediocre, probably at best, at all of those things. Some of the, I've killed some decent bucks. I have a black belt in Aikido. I have a band that's been making music for 30 years. You'll have to judge for yourself as we go through this whether I'm intermediate novice at all of these things or whether I'm intermediate advanced or advanced. But I will say that I think that when it comes to healing myself emotionally, spiritually, and physically from something as difficult as a divorce, I think I can call myself a little bit of an expert. Now, all of you might have different things that happen in your life, like the death of a loved one, financial burdens, bankruptcy, breakups, divorce. Divorce is really difficult for men, and I'm assuming women too, but I'm going to be speaking mostly to men on this channel too, just so you know. I should have said that up front. Women, you're welcome. You're welcome. I hope you can learn something from me. But if you can't, just know that I'm talking to dudes, mostly. I'm not going to try and give women advice, because I have no business doing that. And I'm not even trying to give men advice. I'm just trying to share some of the things that have worked for me. Sobriety. I've been sober for 27 years. Had some ups and downs through it all. Questioned whether it was the right thing for me once in a while. But I know through and through, sobriety is the way I need to be always. I need to be sober. And so we'll be talking about that too. And so Hope that helps, and we will continue. So this is hilarious, and I think it's worth sharing at the end of this little video. I'm coming home I've been in the woods bow hunting. More on that later. Did not come home with a buck. And as I turned this video on, as I started recording, I went the wrong way on 35. So during this whole video, I've been going south. I was supposed to be going north. I think that says a lot about how I want you to view me. I want you to view me as a human being. And I make mistakes. Always, every day. I make big mistakes. I make mistakes that I don't even know. Devastating isn't the word, but I make crucial mistakes. But you know what? I'm on the exit now, and I'm turning around, and I'll be heading in the right direction in about 2 minutes. And that really isn't really that all. Isn't that what matters? Is that we just course correct when we make mistakes. Just turn around. We just go the other way. And I could have had a conniption about it. I was kind of mad. I mean, I did feel some anger and some disappointment in myself. I felt a little bit of, I literally just added an hour to my commute, to my transit here. I didn't want that. I thought I was going to make good time coming home, but now I'm an hour behind. I can feel that in my heart right now, that I'm sad about that. I'm disappointed. I feel a little bit tired because of it. But that right there is something that I can help you with. Identifying emotions, teasing them out, feeling them, and knowing that you feel those, and knowing that those emotions aren't you, aren't me. They're just something that's inside of me temporarily. It's like you eat a bad piece of meat, or something that's, got food poisoning or something in it. And you just have to let it process out of your body. There's nothing you can do. Maybe you can try to throw it up, but most of the time the toxin's already in your body. Just gotta process it out. It's gotta have those heaves, and then you feel better when you felt it, you figured out what it was. It processes in a healthy way, and you're back on track. You've heard a lot of people say, well, you've heard, don't stuff your emotions. Well, that's what that means. Don't stuff them. Don't pretend you're not feeling something. Feel it. Notice it. That's strength. That's courage. And just for you guys out there that been given any messages about, men don't need to feel. Men need to feel, but real men, mature men, don't let it leak onto other people. Mature women, I would assume, that's what you would want too. You would want to process those emotions healthily within yourself, and then be able to express that to the people around you. You know what? I felt a lot of disappointment, anger, sadness, lethargy, fatigue when I went the wrong way. And I snapped at you. And I'm sorry. That wasn't you. That was me. It's accountability. Mature men feel, notice, take responsibility for those emotions, tease them out, understand what's there, process, get to the other side in an equanimous fashion. You get back to equanimity. I don't know if that's the right word. I think it is. But you know what I mean? Balance. You're not happy, you're not sad, you're even keeled. That's peak experience. That's peak effectiveness when you're neutral. So much more to that in martial arts, creativity, and we will go into that a lot. So, introduction, my name is Perry Bowers. My pen name or my official name is T. Perry Bowers. First name Taylor. Parents always called me Perry. That's the only time I will ever talk about my name. Well, you can call me Perry. And hopefully we can grow this thing and make it into something really beautiful for me as a process, and for anybody who's looking for online companionship, and an online encouragement, online wisdom, online experience. Rock on.